I know the instrument of war. War is not politics by other means. It is demonic. I spent 2 decades as a war correspondent in Central America, the Middle East, Africa, and the Balkans, where I covered the wars in Bosnia and Kosovo. I carry within me the ghosts of dozens of those swallowed up in the violence, including my close friend, Reuters correspondent Kurt Schork, who was killed in an ambush in Sierra Leone with another friend, Miguel Gil Moreno. I know the chaos and disorientation of war, the constant uncertainty and confusion. In a firefight, you are only aware of what is happening a few feet around you. You desperately and not always successfully struggle to figure out where the firing is coming from in the hopes you can avoid being hit. I have felt the helplessness and the paralyzing fear, which years later descend on me like a freight train in the middle of the night, leaving me wrapped in coils of terror, my heart racing, my body dripping with sweat. I have heard the wails of those convulsed by grief as they clutch the bodies of friends and family, including children. I hear them still. It does not matter the language: Spanish, Arabic, Hebrew, Dinka, Serbo-Croatian, Albanian, Ukrainian, Russian. Death cuts through the linguistic barriers. I know what wounds look like: legs blown off, heads imploded into a bloody, pulpy mass, gaping holes in stomachs, pools of blood, cries of the dying, sometimes for their mothers, and the smell of death, the supreme sacrifice made for flies and maggots. I was beaten by Iraqi and Saudi secret police. I was taken prisoner by the Contras in Nicaragua, who radioed back to their base in Honduras to see if they should kill me, and again in Basra after the first Gulf War, never knowing if I would be executed, under constant guard, and often without food, drinking out of mud puddles. The primary lesson in war is that we, as distinct individuals, do not matter. We become numbers, fodder, objects. Life, once precious and sacred, becomes meaningless, sacrificed to the insatiable appetite of Mars. No one in wartime is exempt. We were expendable, Eugene Sledge wrote of his experiences as a Marine in the South Pacific in World War II. It was difficult to accept. We come from a nation and a culture that values life and the individual. To find oneself in a situation where your life seems of little value is the ultimate in loneliness. It is a humbling experience.
Yo, welcome to the L.I.O.N podcast. Like it or not, the livest show in the O. We're ready to go. Let's introduce, to my right, it's OG Bait.
Happy Friday.
To my left, it's Chappie.
Wait, what day is it?
And I'm your host, Mr. Tokes. Welcome, friends. Welcome, enemies. Welcome, family. Welcome, everybody. It's another episode. Sorry it's been delayed. We meant well. We've been busy. Hell, I kind of revised the strategy a little bit. I took it easy. A lot of stress involved. I'm trying to go the least stressful way since stress in life is just piling up. So I'm trying to.
It's coming from all directions, man. It's like nonstop.
Yeah. Shabby could attest to that.
3D Tetris is what I'm dealing with.
3D
Wow.
Tetris, is that what it is?
Get out of here, box. Get out of here, box.
That's interesting. I'm trying to get that out of here real quick. Sorry about that. Well, we got an interesting show planned for you today. How is everybody, by the way? Everybody's doing all right?
Man, I'm doing great.
Yeah?
Weathered that storm.
Yes.
Ian was no joke for me. It wasn't.
No.
I mean, it really wasn't.
Well, was it Ian?
Isn't that the one that just passed us, wasn't it? Ian, Hurricane Ian.
There was one?
What was the name of it? Ian?
Yeah, there was one. I don't know.
Holy
I believe it was
shit.
Ian.
Yeah, it was. You know what? I learned from Corey about hurricanes and the best place to be living when a hurricane hits, because I was living in a house when Irma hit and all the ones before that, Charlie, everything like that. And we would lose power for 3 or 4 days every time we'd get a hurricane, at least, you know.
Irma was one about 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I remember that
Yeah.
one too. That one was, I was there for that.
But Corey's always been in these nice, luxurious apartments, and he's like, I think I lost cable for 10 minutes every time, no matter how bad.
I asked him, I said, do you rent or do you own that place, that beautiful condo? He's like, you mean my apartment? I go, dude, this thing's nice. It really is.
Now I moved into an apartment last year, so and exactly that happened. I lost my cable for 10 minutes maybe, and that was it.
That's
you
beautiful.
People are losing homes, so
You got lucky.
I'm lucky.
I was lucky too.
So were you.
I lost my power for nothing this time. Nothing. It never even flickered. But we're right next to the police station and the FBI. So
Oh, see, yeah,
you know. So anyway, we have a critical show today. Everything. This show. I say this a lot, but as I keep finding things out, they get more important. But we were talking and amongst each other, and we think it's a good time to start bringing the conversation of ending wars to the table again, because, there's going to be a lot of because we're going to go over today.
Well, because they're bringing back the threat of nuclear war. I thought we were done with this shit, man. In the 90s, the beginning of the 90s, we thought that was behind us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. And
now that's rearing its ugly head.
That's what they said.
Yeah.
They said, well, capitalism has prevailed, so we're good now, and no more of that. Well, I got some statistics for you on that.
You always do.
But nevertheless, we're talking about the war machine and a couple other things.
It's profitable.
We may go on a million tangents like we usually do, but
The American war machine, because we are the war machine.
We are. I agree.
Thank you for correcting me, because I should say that. Yes, the war machine means us. If you don't know, we have a military budget of $1 bazillion. So, but I want to highlight a statistic right off the bat before we get into the inspired or not, because this is very important, and I want this to stay on the back of your mind as we go through the show, because, well, you're going to know why. Brown University is a private Ivy League research university, and their study concluded that 7,057 Iraq and Afghanistan military and service members did not make it home. And overall, 30,177 are death by suicide. That's more than 4 times the amount killed in service.
Post-war.
Post-war. Think about that. Just keep that in your mind. Nearly, the statistic goes on because I read the article, nearly 70% of veterans reported knowing a post-9/11 veteran who attempted suicide, and 62% said they know a post-9/11 veteran who died by suicide.
Me included.
And him included. So those are high numbers. That is 70%, 62%, that's a lot. But I guess that would make sense because they're brothers and, you guys all stay close and all that good stuff. Anyway.
They stick together, but they know they're being wronged. I know that.
Not all of them. That's where we're going with this because, man, they, it's most of them before. I'd be hard pressed. I'd love to ask you that. How many people were talking like that, like you are now while they were in the service? I don't think.
Absolutely not.
None.
Not at all.
None.
No, I was a completely different person, completely different mentality.
None.
No, and actually,
you wouldn't be there if you did.
When I heard things like that at that time, I looked at those people as almost as traitors. How dare you speak out against war? I'm at war. This is me you're talking about. It's not. It's
right.
not.
Right.
You take it personal at the time.
I read this part where it said the reserves and the callbacks that they get a third of them that don't reply, or they just outright tell them no, I'm not coming back. And so moving forward, inspired or not, This is a speech by Eugene Victor Debs. I just did this because it relates to the whole thing. It's before World War I. He was a railroad union organizer, and he was from Canton, Ohio, I think. I didn't write it down.
Same place as the Football Hall of Fame.
I know it was Ohio, but
Canton.
I believe he was in Ohio. And this speech is what led to his imprisonment. It took place right before America was preparing to enter World War I. And he said, Sam Johnson declared that patriotism is the last refuge of the scoundrel. He must have had Wall Street gentry in mind, or at least their prototypes. For in every age there's been the tyrant, the oppressor, and the exploiter who has wrapped himself in the cloak of patriotism, or religion, or both, to deceive and overawe the people. Every solitary one of these aristocratic conspirators and would-be murderers claim to be an arch-patriot. Every one of them insists that the war is being waged to make the world safe for democracy. What humbug, what rot, what false pretense. Wars throughout history have been waged for conquest and plunder. In the Middle Ages, when the feudal lords concluded to enlarge their domains and to increase their power, their prestige, and their wealth, they declared war upon one another, but they themselves did not go to war any more than the modern feudal lords, the barons of Wall Street, go to war. The feudal barons of the Middle Ages, the economic predecessors of the capitalists of our day, declared all wars, and their miserable serfs fought all the battles. The poor, the ignorant serfs have been taught to revere their masters, to believe that their masters declared war upon one another. It was their patriotic duty to fall upon one another and to cut one another's throats for the profit and glory of the lords and the barons who had held them in contempt. And what is war in a nutshell? The master class has always declared the wars. The subject class has always fought the battles. The master class has all to gain and nothing to lose, while the subject class has nothing to gain and all to lose, especially their lives. They have always taught and trained you to believe it to be your patriotic duty to go to war and to have yourself slaughtered at their command. But in all the history of the world, you, the people, have never had a voice in declaring war. And strange as it certainly appears, no war by any nation in any age has ever been declared by the people. The working class who fight all the battles, the working class who make the supreme sacrifices, the working class who freely shed their blood and to furnish their corpses, have never yet had a voice in either declaring war or making peace. It is the ruling class that invariably does both. They alone declare war, and they alone make peace. Yours not the reason why, yours but to do and die. That is their motto. And we object on the part of the awakening workers of this nation. If the war is right, let it be declared by the people. Your thoughts?
Amen.
Amen, brother. Seriously. Yeah.
Have to drink to that.
Yes.
Cheers to Eugene
Clickety
Debs,
clang.
man.
I'm not afraid to fight a war. If this is what I'm willing to fight for, you know?
Right.
Everything is so distorted now, and you just don't even know why you're there.
Well,
half the time.
They're just selling you some shit, and he's absolutely right. And that was in 1918. So think about, a century later, here we are.
Some things never change. Like you said, we'll go back to the American Revolutionary War. It was colonial aristocrats that were being heavily taxed, that were suffering, being hurt the most by England. So in some books that I've read, particularly The People's History of the United States, there was personal correspondence, letters found between the founding fathers conversing on ideas how to rally the population to fight for a cause.
Right.
So.
And that tells you everything.
I read a book. It was called Social Studies, and no, hey, I can tell you right now, straight up, there's no reason at all for us to ever engage in war anymore. It's just It's not good for nothing good.
I was
comes
thinking
from it.
about this.
It's like two drunk guys outside a bar. They're like, "Oh, we're gonna fight. Nothing is going to happen. Either I'm gonna knock his teeth out. Great, you're gonna break your hand then too. So you lose also. It just there's nothing to gain from it. We can do so much better.
Well.
We can.
I'm gonna
can.
piggyback off what you said
Go.
because what I think he is saying is, because you can't say it all. There's so many fucked up things going on. But the way we are living, right? If we're all about the dollar, if you live about the dollar and it's all about status and elite and all this class privilege and all this stuff.
Wealth accumulation. Go ahead.
You are going to set the world on fire, one, like you're doing. You are going to starve your populations like you're doing. It is going to constantly accumulate. You're going to feed it all. You're going to do stock buybacks, give it all back to yourself, all that stuff like you're doing. And it's going to accumulate and accumulate. And there's people back in the 1800s that were writing about this, that were warning us about this, that said that, guys, this is terribly problematic. And now that we have nuclear warheads all over the world and we have environmental collapse looming upon us, both caused, make no mistake, by this system. The system expands. So you use war. It uses war to expand. War is nuclear bombs. That's what that is. And then the other part, the environment, well, that's overproduction. 100 companies are responsible for 70% of the emissions, and the rest of them are responsible for 90%.
Did you say war is used as an economic reset?
Yeah. Or it's also popular. It could have multiple reasons.
I mean, that's of course. I'm saying one of many. You know.
I just it's money. I mean, it's just that's all I think about. I think it's just it's just obviously money.
Don't
and territory.
let them get off the Ferris wheel. That's it.
Well, the
Don't
problem
let them
is
get off the Ferris wheel.
the problem
They
is
have
we're
to
an
stay on it.
empire. But before we move forward, I do want to caution everybody that's watching this. I do realize that this fight isn't for everyone. But before you make that decision, think about. I assume you're a sensitive person, so think about just how much it means to your future, to your children. I don't know if you have children, but if you have grandkids, just think about everything, and then make that decision and take it seriously, because it's all real. What we're talking about today is real, and that's the other thing. Eugene Debs, the speech I just read, he got 10 years hard labor just for saying that. And we say we got freedom of speech. And that was just a thought.
Yeah.
Just like
the Chicago 7. Just like the Chicago 7.
And we're going to get into
I've never been on trial for my thoughts.
Right.
Enough said?
Abby.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Played by Sacha
Abby
Baron
Hoffman.
Cohen. Absolutely. Yeah. He said, "Give me a minute. I've never been on trial for my thoughts."
Yeah.
It's so
you haven't
true.
seen Chicago 7. Have you seen Chicago 7?
Yeah, not all of it. But
Yeah.
I saw
it's a good
courtroom
one.
scenes.
It's a damn good one.
But it's almost like back to, medieval times when they started going after, started labeling everybody heretics that just fucking spoke out or questioned the Catholic doctrine, and the people questioning were absolutely right, 100% correct, but they were fucking burned at the stake, called all heretic. Now it's all you're an ism, you're that ism.
Yeah.
You can't be this ism.
And that's basically what I'm
traitor, treason.
That's exactly why I'm cautioning them. It's just like, guys, when you decide to have that courage, because that's what you have.
That's real courage.
It is, man.
And stand up
it's
to the system.
And you just say, there's no bigger bully, right? In the history of the world. That's just shooting it as straight as you can. What we're gonna talk about today, you're gonna see how real that shit gets. I know you know probably too. But anyway, assassinations happen. Political prisoners. There's a ton of people that are locked up till today.
Well, they were on an assassination spree in the 60s.
In the 60s, and even they killed 28 Black Panther leaders. They just whatever they did, and there's no accountability. That's the scary part, right? If they want to go after you, then that you might just get disappeared like a motherfucker.
And that in no way or shape or form resembles the Gestapo or anything like that.
Yeah, right. And that's why there's people that always talk about other shit. That I'm just like, okay, yeah, okay.
KGB tactics.
Yeah. So yeah, you never know how far this will go.
Janet,
but I
you
do encourage you.
The Kamazad's in town.
Jaw jaw.
Because we at this table have made the decision that survival of the human species is irresistible, and we made a decision that the survival of the planet is irresistible, and ending wars is irresistible, because we have to do that in order to do the following. So that's it, man. That's it in a nutshell. And yes, if you're too sensitive and you can't tune into this, I understand. But before you leave, just try to understand that this is all for a good cause. And I will say one other thing. What we're about to go through, I am not talking about the soldiers. None of it. I support the soldiers. I love this, obviously, or else I wouldn't be friends with this guy. I want to make that clear, because it's going to get real easy to twist that up as we give these statistics, because I didn't do this shit. I don't even want to talk about this shit. I don't. But I feel like, I have to. It is my obligation as a patriot of America who wants to actually do something, and just fight this among the many other people that are leading this, actually. There's a lot of people that talk about this kind of stuff. Not a lot, but a lot in my little world. So, and they mean a lot to me.
And we just want you to listen, give it a thought. Give it some thought.
Right.
Don't turn your backs on it just because you hear one word that triggers you into just turning us off, And for the soldiers out there serving, we're not saying that, you're part of this evil empire or anything. We understand. I mean, my own personal experience.
They're just pawn pieces.
Well, I would like to think that there's a lot of soldiers out there that had the same mentality that I had when I was in. I wasn't there for God, country, flag, or corps. I was an angry young man. Maybe that's part of the mass psychosis. They're generating angry young men and women.
Right.
I just wanted to go hunt bad guys.
Kill bad guys.
I wanted to go hunt bad guys.
There you go.
I didn't care why we were there or what. I just finally,
Right.
just finally get in the game.
Because they're all bad guys.
Everybody's bad. Yeah.
They're all bad out there, and we're the good guys.
Well,
all
we are
right.
Team America.
That's a great movie.
We are Team America.
That is a funny-ass movie. All right. In order to advance the world, we have to... the opposite of destroying it like we're doing, we have to decolonize it. And now you're going to be like, oh, well, what do you mean by decolonize it? All right, this is what I mean, because I'm going to get somewhere with that. We're going to come back to that, because there will be no world cooperation, basically, if we don't have, self-determination and national sovereignty for everybody, basically, in a nutshell. All right, this is going to get dark. There's a section from Mein Kampf. That's Hitler's book. He wrote it in like 1925 or 26 or some shit like that. It was basically his manifesto. I have not read it. I got this off a speech that Vijay Prashad gave, and it blew my fucking mind. And yes, I did verify that it did come from that book. But so Hitler said in the book, quote, Americans, when they come to the new continent, they just killed the savages, and they created Lebensraum, living space for higher races. They thrive. Yes, they have some problems with minor races, but they're dealing with that. Separate but equal. The lynchings, the Ku Klux Klan. These people are doing a cleanup job. This is just cleanup. The real job was done earlier in the massacre of natives. They created Lebensraum. What we want to do is the same. We are following American example, he writes.
Wow.
We want the higher races to dominate and the lower races to be destroyed. We need to colonize Europe for the higher races, just as Americans did in North America from Hitler, unquote. So, keep that in mind as we proceed forward, because I believe that is fucking critical right there. Mm-hmm. Now, for those that stayed, now you know why. Because it's going to get dark, and it's just reality. How many times did the U.S. try to assassinate Hitler? I want to just bring this up real quick.
Well, we all know the movie Valkyrie. That was one attempt.
One attempt?
Correct.
I don't even know if that was real.
That wasn't a U.S. attempt. That was his own people.
That's
you're
right.
absolutely. You know what? You're absolutely right. Yeah. That was an inside thing where they were trying to. Yeah,
I was gonna say it didn't
right.
say on there. It said 42, but none by America on the list.
Mm-hmm.
I do know we had.
Think about this.
I do know we had several things in motion to do things, but they were all like Hitler was very good at last minute changing this. Oh, I'm not going on that plane.
Oh, I'm sure he was hard to get, but we made no attempts.
His paranoia helped keep him alive for a little bit longer.
And the drugs kept him from sleeping, so he's always moving.
Yeah.
Do you see him at the Olympics before what's his name Owens ran,
Jesse Owens.
and he was like sitting there just in the chair, just like rocking, and what's his name on. What's his name? Joe Rogan experience. Joe Rogan said, look at him, dude. He's all gacked out of his mind, and he's just like.
What was his drug? I didn't know.
Cocaine.
It was cocaine.
Cocaine. He was in that shit.
He was a
dude.
big time cokehead.
Oh yeah.
So 42 times he was trying to attempted assassination on Hitler. Over 600 times U.S. tried to assassinate Fidel Castro.
Wow.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Well, he was closer.
A country of 11 million versus Adolf fucking Hitler that was about to do what he did. Not a single fucking assassination attempt. I just thought that was interesting because I was like, man, Fidel Castro, we attempted to suicide him 600 fucking times, more than 600 times.
Look,
actually.
I mean, we didn't enter the war until Pearl Harbor. Hitler was raging all over Europe. From 1939 to for 2 years before we jumped in.
Yeah,
and I can just see him at the top. In 1939, American White House is watching or hearing of this news of
we were hoping
Blitzkrieg, and he's like, whoa. Let's see how this plays out.
That's right, because they wanted them to take out Russia or the Soviet Union because they were strong, and they said, yo, this is a perfect opportunity to let Hitler just go destroy them.
Do our dirty work.
And guess what?
Do you remember I made the association like the movie Black Mass, and I said he was doing the dirty work the whole time, and he was using him to do it, and he was getting himself to another level because he was almost protected by it.
Correct.
Remember
Correct.
that? I told you. I said the analogy from the movie Black Mass and Ed Whitey Bulger is very comparable to what had happened.
That is a great analogy.
I wonder, is there any record of us funding any of Hitler's?
Yes, our business. Our
from
big
33 on up.
Our big businesses were actually funding. We were all in there in Germany when it was all going down, and they never removed. They never came out. They said we're going to continue to do business, and I believe we were even building missiles for them. I'm not going to say that that's 100%, but I think we were. It's fucking weird, man.
Keep in mind, it's 1933, 36. There was no internet, so the general public had no idea what was going on.
Correct.
When we say we're not talking about the people. We're talking about the government.
And just to piggyback off of that, and just to make sure everyone is aware, I mean, it did go till 1945 when the war ended, but even this is before YouTube and the internet. The whole world saw what Germany did, just like what's his name, Roy Scovel said. We've all seen what they did.
Well, I'll tell you what they hide. They hide the fact that the Soviets whooped their ass, dude, and lost 26.7 million people was the highest estimate that I've seen that died, dude. Could you imagine losing 26.7 million of your fucking people?
Hold on. You want me to break that down for you and put reality in front of you? Are you ready? Imagine the swamp where the Gators play. Mm-hmm. Okay, now multiply that by 109.
That's what you would have to do.
That's how many people died.
109
You need
swamps.
109 full fucking swamp stadiums, and everyone is dead. Drink the juice or get back in the fucking hole, buddy. That's a lot of people.
No, it's got to be more than 109. It's 100,000 there, right?
No, it's not. It's
26.7 million.
It's 98,626 or something like that. It's the ultimate capacity.
Just round up to 100.
To make it
math
easy,
right?
Just say 100. Okay,
Yeah,
that's fine.
100.
But you're giving them about 18,000 people.
10 would be
1,800 people. You're giving them.
Regardless, it's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah.
The swamp full is very impressive. My Lord, look at all the people here.
It is, dude.
And then that many people are dead.
Yeah, man. That's fucking insane.
That makes Jonestown look like the needle in the haystack. Is what that makes it look like.
Yeah, and we were forcing him that way, or we were just hoping he went that way, and he did go that fucking way. But right afterward, we did Operation Paperclip and all that shit, and brought all the Nazis in and took them to Yankee games and fucking did all that shit. We did, man.
We
did.
I believe me.
And we
I
took
know.
And we fucking.
They
and,
all.
And they're still. And then we put them in places around to work with NATO and different
A
places
few of them
and
went
stuff.
to Denmark. A few of them went to Denmark.
Our government adopted a lot of their standard operating procedures.
South America. A lot
They
of
were
South America.
impressed by the structure of
Yes.
the way Hitler ran things. I mean, this was before the. Now this shortly after. After this is when the CIA was created.
Yes.
And so on and
1947,
things
right?
like this.
Yeah, it was right away.
Covert operations, became,
yes.
secret police, boom.
Right.
Again,
They
I
learned
don't.
that from.
I know you.
And now there's more CIAs. Go ahead.
You've heard me use the analogy. Shoot, I'm on point like a German train schedule. You've heard me say that. I'm not saying I don't like the attack mode that I'm getting out of the German people and how they do their stuff. I mean, they keep time like a German train schedule. Sorry, I was supposed to be on that train. Yeah, well, it's 3:03.
Right.
It left. Well, I was supposed to be on it. Well, it left at 3, so you don't get on it.
You ain't on it, bitch.
You ain't on time.
You out.
They were always on time. I'll give them that.
Right.
I just
That's
want to
about
ask
it.
you guys a quick comparison real
Yes,
quick.
sir.
You go back, we were talking about Germany in World War II, and when we rolled in there in 45 and discovered all these concentration camps and they were made public, we threw stones at the German people. We shit on them because it's like, you had to know this was going on, and why didn't you do anything? Well, can't the rest of the world look at us Americans
And
the same
feel
way?
the same
Right
way
now.
Why aren't we doing anything?
You can see.
Absolutely, Mike. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's
Great
why,
point.
That's
dude.
why eternally, as a 49-year-old white Caucasian male in the United States of America,
Double white.
in Orlando, Florida, I feel absolutely distraught that I feel like I'm being lopped in. I'm an American. Yeah, and
he's just getting radicalized.
I can't stand that about us. I feel like I'm lopped in with it, and I'm like, that is so.
That is not me. Yeah,
That is so not.
I am not the ugly American.
I can't wait to see when he really gets deep into those books, man.
Fuck that Lee Greenwood song too, by the way.
What?
That Lee Greenwood.
Oh, fuck that shit. All right, so here's the hard truths, guys. Here we go. We're going in. Actually, I want to say one thing by Dr. Parenti real quick. I kind of skipped over it, but I think it's important. Dr. Parenti said, quote, "The difference between what Americans think their country is doing in the world and what the U.S. rulers really are doing in the world is one of the great propaganda achievements in modern history." So basically, the question is, man, do we believe our leaders? That's basically the question, right? We're all sitting here going, all right, let's figure this shit out.
Name a leader.
Well,
Joe Biden.
they're all
Absolutely not for that
Well, we're
guy.
talking about war, and all the leaders are pro foreign policy, the same. Their foreign policy doesn't waver much, man. It's all the same.
No, they're all pot committed on war.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Which is why everybody can agree that we could probably have the conversation to start the anti-war movement. Just a conversation, man. Let's fucking entertain it. 2003, they had a good one around the world. I think they had like 10 million for the Iraq. And then they had, of course, we know the Vietnam one. And people that say the Vietnam didn't do shit, well, let me tell you this. It did do shit because Nixon was going to fucking nuke the fuck out of Vietnam. That was his thing. He was like, just fucking nuke them. And Kissinger, of all fucking people, said, "Sir, you will be looked at as the biggest madman. We're already fucking this thing to bed, and that's your plan." Because I think it was McNamara or somebody that kept talking about kill more people was his answer for when we were losing that war. It was kill more people. You go to Harvard and fucking Yale and all these great Ivy League schools and shit, and that's your answer, a 3-word fucking answer to go to Vietnam when we're losing is kill more people.
He was Joseph Goebbels in a fucking American suit, I mean, this guy created the Gulf of Tonkin bullshit story, He fabricated all that stuff. He started that whole war.
Yeah. We fucking lied our way just so we could go into Southeast Asia and super exploit that. That's what we did. So we could go into there and do exactly what the fuck we're about to talk about. Anyway, so yes, the U.S. policy. Let's go back there. I'm sorry, I fucking lost my place. All right, here we go. The hard truths. The U.S. is not a force for good. All right, let's just get that out the way. It's a fucking myth, and we're gonna explain that right now.
Agree.
The U.S. said in 1947 they were seeking preponderant power. Preponderant power, like primacy. This was it. They said that. They're on record saying that shit. 1947. And there's endless examples to prove this. And that's what we're going to go through. So the U.S. foreign policy narrative which is what I want to get through first, because I want to give you the narrative of what they say they are so you can feel that. The U.S. foreign policy narrative is, quote, the U.S. is a vanguard for democracy for the rest of the world and extends freedom, peace, and justice benevolently to all who suffer under the yoke of tyranny. That's what we do. We're bringing freedom and democracy. We're going to teach freedom and democracy. We're gonna build back. We're gonna help people, man. We're gonna, we believe in that humanitarianism. We're gonna help people, dude. Whatever we got to do. All right. The U.S. national security state has been the key force in overthrowing reformist democratic governments in Guatemala, Guyana, Dominican Republic, Brazil, Chile, Uruguay, Sierra, Indonesia, Greece twice, Argentina twice, Haiti a lot, including right now. I don't know if you guys saw that, but they're protesting in Haiti for like the last couple of weeks. We're just finding out about it now. And what they're protesting is, do you remember a little bit ago there was assassination on their president? Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. Well, what you might not know, because we don't report here, is the guy that did that and went in charge, he was like, you told me I could do this. Like, he just said that. And
Dad said it was okay.
Yeah. And so they're all, so the IMF has imposed heavy austerity on them now. And now they're all in the streets going, fuck that. This is too much. When we were already suppressing their wages, I think it was Hillary fucking Clinton or something that was pushing their wages down to like 18 cents or some shit. They're like, no, don't give them a raise. I think Levi's or some shit is over there and some other shit. But Haiti is out there protesting right now, and now we're saying that they're God, what was the term they used? They're dangerous people, and there's an uprising and stuff, and we're gonna send in our some force. I don't know what they said. It was like some tanks or some shit. We're gonna send in some fucking force, and we're gonna shut them fucking workers that are being oppressed up. And then we're gonna crack them down and put them in their fucking place. Because that's what we do. So Haiti a lot, including right now, Bolivia and more, and replace with them pro-capitalist, like I said, regimes that basically just take up their resources and put in their companies, like we're doing all over the world.
Is this still the Chicago boy practice of Milton Friedman?
Yes, exactly. And they're just to get markets and to get cheap labor and all those things and take American jobs from you if you don't give a fuck about the other countries, which is racist anyway. But if you do, they're taking American jobs from you too. While they tell you, and automation too. Automation's actually even taking more jobs than that because they like to use those fucking, it's unbelievable.
Shouldn't automation come with a better quality of life for human beings? I mean, shouldn't those go hand in hand? I mean, that you're taking away all the hard manual labor jobs, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think so. I mean,
you only have to pay robots one time.
Yep.
To build them.
That's the problem. Do
you have a receipt for that robot?
Yeah, we shouldn't be working, man. We should be working for the fuck of it and having a culture, dude. Like so many cultures out there. That goes back to what Chappie said. We're never going to conquer the cosmos. Think about it. These idiots, if it's just going to be a handful of motherfuckers that are going to go up there and do all these things, they're going to fuck it up. They're going to make a fatal fucking mistake and they're going to fuck it up. And that's why I think aliens are communists from other galaxies, because they just figured it out, dude. They didn't let money rule their world, and they just said, fuck that, dude, and they got smarter. Because if you look out and if you educate a whole society of 8.5 billion, let's say this world has, and you feed these fucking kids that are hungry and you give them the knowledge they need, real knowledge, not this bullshit you're selling us in school, and underfunding education. I'm not talking about that shit. I'm talking a whole different fucking vision right now. You're going to have to fucking get on that level right now because it's nothing you're seeing today. But if you took it to that fucking level, then yeah, these guys are idiots. These guys just come from fucking wealth, and that's the common denominator for all these motherfuckers at the very top. Elon Musk's family was apartheid South Africa. He was walking around New York City with like emeralds in his pocket or something because they own an emerald mine or some shit. use fucking slave labor and shit. Fuck them. They all come from the ones at the very top. Most of them, with the exception of very few, come from fucking generational wealth, dude. They own property and shit, dude. And when you own property, it never stops. You own that property forever, and then people come to you for the fucking job. You don't have to do nothing. So as long as there's no property rights, it's going to continue like this, and you're going to have oligarchic animals that just take up the world and fucking ruin it forever. And that's what you're going to get, and you're going to get wars in the process of that, and they're terrible atrocities that happen all throughout. And that's just what the fuck it is, and I'm thirsty.
And that training runs generations deep from birth. I mean, it's in their DNA. I mean, they're fucking descendants of fucking Julius Caesar or some shit. You know, I mean, they just conquer, take, plunder.
It's like a pharaoh.
Exploit.
Yeah, dude.
I mean,
that's what it is.
That thirst for power is in their fucking blood.
I promise you, man. It's there.
But that's the same. I'm just saying it's the same mentality.
Yep, exactly. So, and they do it on only terms that are completely favorable for their investors. It's never favorable for the country we're exploiting, even though, you know, that wouldn't really be favorable anyway.
Well, you can put it one single person, just label it as, hey, Genghis Khan. Okay,
well,
America.
Right.
What?
Well, that's what we do.
That's all we did.
What we do is we go there and we will. It's funny because we'll call the good guy the dictator. Like I'll give you an example. Saddam Hussein, right? Saddam Hussein, in 1968, there was a revolution in Iraq, and we put Saddam Hussein in charge of the Ba'athist Party, the conservative side of the Ba'athist Party, and he slaughtered every constitutionalist, every fucking Democrat, every communist, everybody, the whole thing, reformists, everybody. He was doing some brutal, fucked up shit. That was the CIA that put him in there. They don't tell you that shit. They tell you everything that happened with Saddam Hussein all the way after. They don't tell you that we put him in fucking charge. And when he turned around and he committed economic nationalism, so all he wanted to do was take a little more of his quota and give it to his himself. And granted, it was weak little shit, but it was still for the right things, for education and shit. And nope, that was exactly when we turned our back on them and we did what we did. And that's what we do. So we want a confidor type of leader that's that will rule his people, but they'll be subservient to us, the U.S. empire, the West. And when we come in there, they'll just go, hey, man, I'll crack these guys down. They're making 15 cents. They're all exploitable. There's no wage. There's no minimum wage. There's no occupational safety. There's nothing. This is perfect. This is exactly what capitalism is supposed to look like. This is beautiful right here. And when you have that shit, no environmental regulations, when you have that shit, you have a big fucking problem all around the world, wherever it exists. And that's what they're fucking keeping from you. And prove me wrong. I'm an open book. I don't care. I'll change my mind tomorrow, right now. If you give me some information, I will look into that shit, and I'll be happy to change my mind. But I've been wronged before.
Capitalism needs to be changed to exploitationism.
I like that. Boy, they would not like that. They would not. That's a great.
Or you could call.
I like that, bro. That's marinating and it's hitting me harder right now.
Did I do that? Ism. You could do that.
What were you gonna say, or what?
Did I do that? Ism.
I'm glad you guys paused me.
Though.
I'm glad you guys paused me on that because this is gonna get even more deep. So continuing on. U.S. leaders have actively pursued covert actions or proxy mercenary wars against popular revolutionary governments in Cuba, Angola, Mozambique, Ethiopia, Portugal, South Yemen, Nicaragua, Cambodia, East Timor, Western Sahara, Iraq, and more. Moving on, unless you guys want to say anything. U.S. rulers have actively destabilized and moved against reformist governments in Egypt, Lebanon, Peru, Iran under Mossadegh, Syria, Zaire under Lumumba, Jamaica under Michael Manley, Venezuela under Hugo Chavez, the Fiji Islands, Afghanistan before the Soviets went there, and more. The direct U.S. invasions since World War II, all right? Invasions, aerial bombings, all that shit, or both. Vietnam, Cuba, the Dominican Republic, North Korea, Laos, Cambodia, Yugoslavia, Lebanon, Grenada, Panama, Libya, Iraq, twice, Somalia, and more. Not a force for good. And think about this, man. I'm not saying communism's good. I'm just saying there's no communist country that has a fucking record of aggression like that. So that's what you really need to think about, guys. And now, right today, they got to support Nazis again. And I just told you, they lost 26.7 million of their people killing Nazis. They don't like Nazis over there. And we're arming them. And we're justifying it. And everybody's got a fucking Ukraine flag on their goddamn, and I get it, there's people dying, but what you're not recognizing is that war was going on since 2014 when the U.S. overthrew that fucking government and put an anti-friendly Russian government in there, and they immediately, the western side started bombing the eastern side immediately. For 8 years, 14,000 people or more died between those 8 years before Putin went in. So that war was ongoing, even though it was an invasion, and I'm not justifying what he did. I'm not saying that. I'm just telling you context of what's going on here, because when you have the whole context, you can begin to use your own fucking brain and figure out what's going on. It's just matter of fact.
To most people that put out those Ukraine flags, they're just doing it because it's a trend. They don't really.
Exactly.
Believe me, they
I
have
think
not
you're right.
put a fraction of that amount of thought into it. What you know.
I think, yeah, exactly.
Some people don't want to put together a 5,000 piece puzzle. They just it's exhausting to them. I don't care. It doesn't.
They're
bother
intellectually
me.
lazy.
They're intellectually unstimulated to even take on the task of wanting to learn and try to make my own.
I think a lot of it
decision.
is they don't believe in themselves, because the illiteracy part that I read the other day is true. So to get over that hump, you have to have confidence in yourself, because I know about this, because I didn't. I just thought my brother and my sister got the smarts in the family, and I was the dumb jock, and that's just how it was, until I started actually engaging because I actually cared. I was like, fuck it, man, I'm going to read this shit regardless, no matter how long it takes me. And I just got really fast at it. And then I'm like, holy shit. It's just like basketball or anything else. You could just work on something and be great at it. Guitar and whatever. So fucking engineering the biggest system ever.
The more you dive into it and you dwell into all the information that you
lose
start
yourself
realizing,
in it.
You can lose yourself in it. It's almost like binge watching a show that, like, let's say the first episode is 54 minutes long, and you watch it and you're like, that was amazing. That was so good. I wonder what's going to happen next. And it says about to play next episode. Then you realize, wait a minute, let's go to episodes. You're like, holy crap, there's 9 episodes at 54 minutes long.
Correct.
I know what I'm doing all weekend. It's called binge watching. Everyone does it.
That's right.
Okay.
And
same
by the
thing with
way,
this.
and
It's
by the
been-
way, that's an incomplete list that I just read. That's an incomplete list. That shit goes on.
You rambled on at least, I'd say, 28 to 32 countries. You were just, you were going off.
Well, yeah, and those are all different ways.
I think communist aggression's maybe a handful. Maybe if you include North Vietnam, South Vietnam, North Korea. That's about it. No, I mean,
yeah.
What else is there?
Fuck, man, it's all fucked up. But here we go. We got to get through this. We got a long way to go, actually. Why do we do this? All right, this is the key. Why do we overthrow our Benz in Guatemala? Because the United Fruit Company. Money to put in there.
Profit.
Why do we overthrow Mohammed Mossadegh in Iran? He was nationalizing the oil fields. It's not that hard to figure this shit out, is where I'm getting at with this. It's fucking not that hard at all. Why did we overthrow Allende?
Follow the money.
The fucking copper and the fucking telecommunications. ITT.
Yeah, there's 2 reasons. Money and threat to power.
Yes. And expansion.
When they become, their numbers grow drastically, then they become a target.
Well, yes.
Of the powers that are in charge, because now they're a threat. Because hey, this is growing over here. We got to do something about this, Bob.
Right. And it's also about taking property too, because that's why we arm the thugs and the rebels to do it. And they don't care about anything but just getting military weapons of all sorts and money and cash money. They're just like, yeah, man, just give me my brother Ruben and fucking Jose. If you keep us okay and keep giving us weapons, yeah, man, just take the whole fucking land. It's yours, man. Yeah, thank you. You know, business is good to them.
Yeah.
And they just fucking rule the fucking place, dude. And meanwhile, people are living in the most fucked up conditions, dude.
Huh?
For profits, man. We're stunting the growth of humanity. We're killing it.
Remember the Lincoln Log thing we talked about? The 100-piece Lincoln Log set? America, we have a 100-piece Lincoln Log, and your country has a 100-piece Lincoln Log.
Yeah.
And we start building together, and boy, your log cabin's looking pretty good over there, Lithuania. Yeah. And what do we? Hey, well, we're American. Buddy, you kind of making me look bad. So boom, we just destroy your shit, smash your shit, start over, a-hole.
That's right.
Hey, dude, what kind of?
And I got the biggest, and I got $1 trillion budget on my military, so you can't smash my Lincoln Logs. But Lithuania is our fucking our NATO partner, so we would never do that to them.
I know. I'm just making an example. I literally just know that America is just the biggest, baddest bully, and we just love to stick our nose in everyone's business.
It's exactly
and
what
we
it
think
is.
that we are absolutely right about everything.
Right. Oh, yes.
Because on the other side of the world, women can't, they don't want them learning, and they don't want them singing, and they don't want them driving cars, and they really don't want them you don't want them to see their skin and stuff. And if those women in that area of the world, and that they accepted that, and it was that way for 2,000 years, it's been that way. Yeah. And they were okay with it. But we say, well, everyone should be equal and fair and free. And I mean, okay, but that area of the world, I mean, they've already accepted that.
Right.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying we don't have
They
to
don't mind.
go to war
Correct.
over it like the way we think it's just should be.
We're kind of like a giant Karen, too.
We are. We are like
especially now
Yeah,
that we're getting our ball taken from us, and we're just fucking. And it's dangerous though, because we're a Karen with fucking all kinds of.
Oh, we're lunging at cars that are barely moving. Oh, you hit me!
Exactly.
You get out of here.
Well, let's move forward. The death toll is stupendous. All right, 2 million in North Korea, over 500 or 3 million in Vietnam, over 500,000 area wars in Laos and Cambodia, over 1.5 million in Angola, over 1 million in Mozambique, over 500,000 in Afghanistan, 1 million in Indonesia, 200,000 in East Timor, 100,000 in Nicaragua, 100,000 in Guatemala, plus 40,000 disappeared, 700,000 in Iraq or more, 600,000 in El Salvador, 30,000 in a dirty war in Argentina, though their government only admits to 9,000, 35,000 in Taiwan, 20,000 in Chile, and the list goes on. Haiti, Panama, Grenada, Brazil, on and on and on and on. So, not a force for good. That's not good. Because how could you be bringing democracy and making the world safe, national security, or making the world safe for democracy if you're doing these things? So right now, I'm going to go to a clip from Julian Assange explaining how this really goes.
Because the goal is not to completely subjugate Afghanistan. The goal is to use Afghanistan to wash money out of the tax bases of the United States, out of the tax bases of European countries, through Afghanistan and back into the hands of a transnational security elite. That is the goal, i.e. the goal is to have an endless war, not a successful war.
So, the goal is to have an endless war, not a successful war. There you go. You guys got thoughts on that?
Well, that generates profits for long term.
So let me ask you a question, because I got a question for you guys. If your goal is to have an endless war, and think about that, an endless war. So you're not interested in winning any wars. So you're doing all this, like war's a racket, like Smedley Butler said. You're doing all this Gangsters of Capitalism, Wall Street. Is that treasonous to do that to your people? Especially because you're lying about the reason why at home while you're doing that? Like, because the definition of treason, I got it here. Definition of treasonous is involving or guilty of the crimes of betraying one's own country. The people are the country. Right or wrong?
No, you're right.
So I'm just saying, man.
I'm going to say I don't agree with that because I don't want to disappear.
I think our government feels that they can play with our lives in that way, you know, because of what they provide to us. Well, they're not providing much, you know. What they're providing is getting less and less, you know.
Yeah.
And the struggle is getting more and more. And I think, like I said, I think they believe that they're entitled to throw us around like this, you know.
Oh man.
Oh, they're so much better off with us because we have the good minds and we're the level heads and we're the ones that are going to take care of you.
You ever heard the term,
But
you say
they're not.
something 7 times and you start to believe it?
Sure.
I think the way they talk, they start to believe that they are better than everybody. I mean, we say it for them. We got little idiots that just suck billionaire cock every day that you see them but they don't know any better. I'm not making fun of them. I'm just saying that they don't know any better, man. But this system is just celebrating it.
Oh, it's bad.
And it's all fucked up, man. They were making electric cars back in the 1920s that would last a lifetime with cheaper materials and everything, dude. And here we are, 2022. But they didn't want that to happen because they couldn't sell oil and gas. Oh, man. And then I read in this book the other day that the CIA redacted the shit. They put it out about the Exxon scientists doing the report on the climate change. Then they classified it after it was already out. So they said, oh, shit, we got to classify that. So they classified it. So you can't get that document now, but there's historians that got pictures of it that said, dude, it was here. Yeah. We seen it. We read it. It's fucking, the climate change is happening, dude. What the fuck are you talking about? But no accountability. There's no accountability. It's on and on and on. Tomorrow you'll be talking about Kanye West. It'll all be okay. Right. You'll be fucking stupid again in 3 seconds.
Their power is absolute at this point.
So I think it's treasonous. I do. I think it goes both ways. It's a two-way road, right? We live here together. You're our fucking rulers and we're the fucking peasants. But God damn it, what you're saying, it'd be one thing if we're living in a dictatorship, right? But why don't they just want to do it? It would be easier just to fucking smack us and put us in line and they wouldn't have to have any regulations and they could just point guns at us all day. Fucking, they could do that. Our police state is bigger than the North Korean military.
Because that would reveal their true self, dude. They have to keep up this guise. They have to maintain this facade that they're selling.
And the military would change their mind. They would say, wait a minute. You can't just rule like this on our fucking people. That's not what you told us. And they would all turn the guns, so they have to keep the facade going.
That's the way it's went down throughout history, you know, through Greek and Roman history. When there was when they had a horrible leader, and the aristocracy fell apart, it was generals that rose to power, and sometimes it took this general's army fighting this general's army to settle things, you know. But that's what it comes down to, and we've repeated ourselves in every way, shape, and form as that same period. And why not this as well? You know, I mean, if that's going to happen, I'm sure it's going to come down to that. Armies are going to split. It's going to be ugly for a while.
It's very familiar.
But
it is. It's very familiar.
That's right.
The
I know my military will come to save me, dude.
Familiar.
I know they will. I know they will. They did that shit in the sit-down strikes. They brought in the military and they turned their guns back on the people and said, no, we're not going to point our guns at the workers, dude. We stand with the fucking people.
But a lot of the military would be convinced that there was
the National Guard.
Their fear of being, traitors in their own mind. You know, they have to get out of that mentality. You know?
Well, we need the cops to get on board with that shit. You guys need to be with us instead of against us, man. That's just how that should be. Anyway, U.S. has dropped at least 337,000 bombs and missiles in 20 years. I thought that was an important note to say. U.S. has dropped at least 337,000 bombs and missiles in 20 years. 20 years.
I know without a doubt.
That's 1.5 bombs.
I was just in high school and shit. I feel like 20 years goes by in no time. 337,000 bombs. That shit is in Mint Press News. It's in Salon.com. You can find that article in a lot of places. A lot of people covered that.
I bet you half of that happened in Baghdad. They dropped.
Oh, I got the places.
They bombed Baghdad. Do you remember that was on? Do you remember in America when that happened? Like you could sit.
Did
at
you
home.
know?
You could sit at home and turn on your TV and watch us bomb another country.
Did you know Baghdad?
Like it was entertainment or something.
Did you know Baghdad was one of the most developed places in the Middle East
Oh,
at
I'm
the
sure it
time
was.
when we
That's
fucking
the cradle of civilization. That's Mesopotamia, man. That is where it all began.
Yeah.
Tigris and Euphrates River.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They go back thousands and thousands of years. Yeah, for sure, man. And we talk about we got to go give them democracy. We got to teach them shit.
Yeah. they're wrong.
That is so
they're wrong, man.
Oh my goodness, man. Okay.
Well.
but we clutch our pearls over Russia.
Saddam was a sick fuck.
You know what I mean?
Who day?
Who day?
Who day?
Who day?
What's that?
I said we clutch our pearls over Russia and what they do. And it's just like we're everywhere, man. Fuck. And 1,000 military bases and black sites all over the world. And then we torture people legally and just change the rules. We don't abide by the international law, Geneva Convention. We bomb Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and nobody was held accountable. Nobody went to jail for that. So it's not going to stop. When somebody doesn't get held accountable for dropping a nuclear fucking bomb on you, it'll never fucking stop. We have to stop. All the people around the world are waiting for Americans. We are their best hope because we're here. We're in the heart of it. We are their only hope. There's so many people depending on us, and most of us don't even know it. Anybody know what the Moab bomb is? I shouldn't say the Moab bomb, just the Moab.
Yes.
The mother of all bombs. Biggest non-nuclear bomb, and we dropped one on Afghanistan.
The largest non-nuclear.
Correct.
Okay.
Is that not some quote? The Moab is so large that no U.S. warplane is big enough to drop it. It has to be offloaded from the rear of a cargo plane with the help of a parachute.
So is it atomic?
No.
No.
It's not atomic.
No, it's conventional.
It's the biggest non-nuclear.
Okay.
But the Pentagon.
We're not splitting hydrogen atoms, in other words.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's got the most tonnage of explosive packed in there.
22,000 pounds. I know it weighs, but it's 170,000. I don't know how much explosives it has, but it weighs 22,000 pounds, and it's 170K for each one. Just straight, each one could put people through college like nothing. It's like, what the fuck, dude? Holy shit. Anyway, so the Pentagon report said it is expected that the weapon will have a substantial psychological effect on those who witness its use. So the fucking thing gives PTSD. We celebrate PTSD. It's in a fucking Pentagon report. We're not a force for good.
We never have been.
But that's the thing. There's so many people that don't know that, bro. You'd be amazed, dude. I didn't know it for the longest time, dude. I thought Top Gun was real. I love that fucking movie. For real, man. They say they get you, dude. They fucking get you. And you're just like, fuck. Yeah. And then other people, if I remember the article correctly, they were talking about like the people that did hear it, where they were far enough to where they said it sounded like the world was caving in. I don't mean to laugh, but that's what they said.
Yeah.
That's what they said. Sounded like the world was caving in.
It sucked all the air out the atmosphere.
Probably. Jesus Christ, bro. You know how like you land on your back when you're playing sports and you take all the wind out of you?
Yeah.
And you can't breathe for a little bit? That's what he's talking about.
Yeah,
Takes the whole wind out of the atmosphere, though. That's like that times a million. You're like, like literally, like just
Your head compresses.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, depending on how close you are to it. For fuck's yeah.
Well, you've seen where they had those pine trees that were like, I think they were 18 to 22-year-old pine trees that were averaging, I want to say, 9 to 14 inches in thickness. And when the nuclear bomb went off, they have like, you could see the trees just go. Like, I mean, all of them.
Like toothpicks, yeah.
And then when they snap back, there's no branches on them. There's no needles.
Well, we're going to get to the nuclear part at the very end of this. I want to get through this. We're almost there.
Compression.
We're almost there. By the way, the Lightning are tied 1-1.
Awesome.
Good deal.
The Food and Agricultural Organization study. This is important right now. These guys do pretty good studies every once in a while. I check them out. Close to 1 billion people in the world suffer from acute hunger. About half of them live in the conflict zone that goes from North Africa to across West Asia into Central Asia. Approximately 500 million of the world's hungriest people live in the same zone the United States has prosecuted its wars. It's worse. It's like, dude, we just bombed the poorest fucking miserable people. How evil is that? And Daniel Hale, he's in jail right now because he was a drone guy that revealed that 90% of our drone strikes were killing innocent civilians. Guys, like, this isn't going to get any better, man. And then we're finding out, like, well, we'll have that video after this is all over. But the CIA's got, like, CIA and CIA. There's so many of them. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, they're secret everything now.
The Bureau is in what direction you want to go.
That's right.
You want tobacco firearms, you want ATF, you want, I mean, it doesn't,
Yeah.
the FBI, the CIA.
That's right.
The Bureau is thick.
Oh.
And it's corrupt
Oh.
in every direction.
Oh.
It is.
They're powerful as fuck,
They're
too.
powerful as fuck.
They're powerful as fuck.
Yep. Yep.
They can assassinate a president.
They can do
They can
whatever.
assassinate Martin Luther King.
That's right.
They can assassinate whoever they want.
That's right. With no accountability.
Any crusader for justice, they can take out.
That's right.
Correct.
They own
It's
the world,
almost-
really. When you think about it, they rule the world.
It's like having an I Dream of Genie. You just kind of, and boom, and
Yeah.
problem solved.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
The U.S., now this is fucking crazy. The U.S. has launched 251 military interventions since 1991, since the end of the Cold War. And that's at a Congressional Research Office. It's a government site. That's not some guy that's just speaking numbers into existence over here. Like, Corey's a socialist, man. I think he's just saying some shit. No, that's the government's numbers. And 251 military interventions since 1991, when they told us that was it. We're good. The Soviets were the threat.
It's on average of 3 a year, I think, something like that. Close.
And mind you, they were expanding NATO the whole fucking time. This is not good. This is only going to get bigger and more difficult as we go. We're lucky. Like, now's the time, right? Because we don't have drones circling over our heads and shit, pointing guns at us like, hey, you better not get out of line, motherfucker. We will shoot you. Like, when's that day come?
It comes when the rest of the world doesn't allow us to fuck with them anymore, so they're going to turn their guns inward.
Yeah.
That's a very, 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 very truthful analysis.
We're going to have
is.
to milk our own people. More.
Yeah.
We'll have to squeeze.
Wow.
Civil war. It will become a civil war here.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that,
As long as it's us versus Wall Street, and we got our shit together, because, dude, if we go like this, I'm gonna tell you the truth, Chappie. I was talking about this Mike the other day. We were really high, but I was talking to him and I said, bro, my worst fear is feels like it's inevitable that when shit does hit the fan and people go out, they're just gonna slaughter each other, man. There's gonna be a lot of bloodshed over nothing. They're gonna be killing each other because they listen to the fucking shit TV
Right.
that told them every fucking day, every minute, every hour.
Yeah. Separate yourself, your races, and yeah, I know they're going to say that just to.
And I'm not singling out any particular fucking channel. I'm saying all that shit, man.
they're going to have Democrats saying, Republicans, it's your fault, you caused this, and Republicans MC Democrats, you caused this. I mean, it's
when they're
already
the same thing. Well, their owners are the same thing. They're all working for the donors. Yeah, I But then it says it had 469 since 1798. Guys.
What, wars?
No, interventions.
Oh, interventions.
That doesn't count coups.
Police actions.
Like the shit where we intervened with coups and like proxies and shit like that. That's just known, what we know about actual military interventions. So it's even more than that. That's a conservative number right there. It's very, it's obviously more than that. There's a lot that's not there. And also, think about this. Like the military budgets give you a lot, too. If you examine the military budgets, it tells you plenty. It tells you exactly what the fuck is going on, actually. Because you could see a place that we, for instance, say North Korea, they have a military budget like $4 billion, okay? We talk about them all the time and make the threat like, holy shit. Like North Korea, they're gonna nuke us and they're gonna come. They're fucking crazy, dangerous and shit.
Well,
think how we play that up.
That guy is batshit crazy though.
Oh, Kim Jong Il.
Yeah.
Well, he's gone now.
He might be
The other one,
but he's not a threat. Like we'll fucking level
He can't
him.
be that stupid. Yeah.
We spend $1 billion on our fucking or
Right.
$1 trillion on our
Right. He is batshit crazy, but I don't think he's a threat either.
Yeah, I mean we'll send the CIA to put a plug up his butt. I mean.
Just like
do
Putin,
anything.
at the end of the Cold War, our nuclear missiles outnumbered Russia's by what? I mean, it was something crazy like 100 to 1.
Yeah.
And that hasn't changed. I mean, if anything, it's grown.
Yeah.
But it's like he can't be that stupid. It's like they're saying Putin's going to start the war, the nuclear war. We're on the brink of nuclear war, Chappie. Did you know that? We're on the brink, man.
Yeah.
Okay, well, talk about
we were.
I'll give you
another
example. Russia. Their GDP is like 2 or 3%. I don't even know. It's way low. They have like 8% or 7% of everything military wise of what NATO has. So which NATO includes us.
And that's just NATO. And what's our budget for NATO?
Fuck, I don't even know. It's
like
a number that's out of this world.
It was like 300 million, where our own personal is $1 trillion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's what I meant. It was
Right.
like, it's just stupid.
Right.
So
It's 70% more than what we're doing sharing with the rest of the world.
Exactly.
Right.
It's crazy. It's just crazy. So when you examine the military budgets, it definitely tells you a lot. So that's if it's not the interventions and everything else that we just fucking talked about this whole time, because this should have you pretty convinced that there's some shit you need to question going on.
But Corey, honestly, I don't think you need to like let them know we're trying to convince them. We're just trying to open their minds up and let them see, like, hey man, don't just treat it like an open door. Don't shut the door and don't slam the door and all this stuff. Because
Great point.
Just take it in at your own leisure. Don't try to force feed yourself too much. And if you
well, it hurts like hell. It hurts like hell.
Let's say you dabble
really
in it for a month and a half, and you go, I don't really, whatever. Those guys, you could always be unhappy and talk about things. It's not that I'm not unhappy as a person as far as my life and what I do and everything. It's good, but it's unfortunate that we could be doing so much better. I always say that we could be doing so much better.
I liked your point at the begining of the fucking show. I thought it was fucking genius.
What'd I say? I don't know.
about people being money hungry and it fucking the whole world up.
That's all it is.
Okay.
Money is the root of all evil, in my opinion.
We never negotiate is another bullet point. I just got a few more bullet points I just want to get through. It's a problem. We fucking never negotiate. That's a very big tell that you can see that we're the ones that want to, and if there was an agenda, if what we say is true, then that would make sense that people don't want to fucking negotiate because we want to blow your shit up and we want to take your shit and overthrow your government and put somebody in charge that's favorable.
I think we'll always come into situations with open mind and open heart. Okay? Because we're America. We're open mind and open heart. But the conversation didn't go the way we were expecting it to go. So we're going to just bulldoze you and do it. We're going to form you to exactly how we want you.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
That's not an amicable relationship between people. It's not an amicable relationship between countries.
Thank you.
It's not an amicable relationship between nothing.
Right.
Nothing is good out of that.
Right.
Okay?
And how are you going to tell us we're for national sovereignty and your democracy and we want to support that when you voted a guy in, then we go kick him out?
It's like,
It's like, guys, come on. The only thing we should be checking is that their elections are fucking good, but our elections aren't even fucking good. So, and that's not to say that Trump was stolen the election. I'm talking about Bush. Fucking way back when.
Senior or junior? Which one?
Junior was definitely fucking stolen.
I believe my God wants everyone to be free. Remember he said that?
Dude, after I read that Democracy for the Few, there's a whole section in there about the voting machines and numbers on that shit. We're gonna talk about that on another episode, but definitely gonna get into that. Holy shit, man, it's fucking good. All right, yeah, man, because if we never negotiate, basically, we never want to make the world safe for democracy. We want to make national sovereignty and all that good shit. But we're not about diplomacy, so that's fucking bad. Okay, so that's another tell that you can see. No accountability. We talked about this before. I don't need to go into that. If you care about your environment, then you must care about war and peace. That's facts. That is facts. If you want world cooperation, you got to care about war and peace. You have to. You have to. They go hand in hand, especially with all the emissions our military itself is putting out. It's more than the actual entire countries. No such thing as nuclear war. I want to touch on that real quick. There's no such thing. I don't think you guys understand. This is the whole purpose of why we're having this conversation today. There's no such thing as nuclear war.
The Cold War ended, a long time, 30 years ago, so we don't want to go back there.
Dude, I remember
we learned our lesson.
I remember being a kid.
I thought we did.
Yeah.
But that was way behind us, dude.
But we did. The people did. We don't want that shit. They got bunkers.
It's like, oh, thank God that's one less thing.
That's something we could tell them. Pump their bunkers full of grout and then keep this noise up. You know what I mean? Do that shit. Right. If they ain't got a bunker to run to, I bet they stop talking that shit.
Hey, check it out. We're so sorry to hear that about you, but, it's just unfortunate. Hey, wait a damn minute. What's going on here? Wait a minute. Hey, now, hold on. What's going on here? I can't get in my bunker.
Can't get in my bunker.
Yeah.
You got the keys to the bunker?
Pump it full of fucking grout, man. Yeah. Then talk that shit. How about that?
Oh, change it up on it with some flowable fill.
Did you guys see the AOC town hall meeting?
No.
Where she got heckled. They were yelling about nuclear war. They were fucking yelling about nuclear. They were like, what does any of this matter? If we're all going to die, we're not going to have any neighbors.
Who cares about the polar ice caps freezing off and it doesn't, none of it matters.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter.
And she's funding it. So they were yelling at her saying, you're funding nuclear war. Good for them, man. His name was Jose Vega. Good for him. And I think he harassed Jamal Bowman too, but he was calling him he was telling him he was funding Nazis. I mean, it's accurate, man. That's what they're fucking doing, and we should be losing our mind over that shit. No matter if you like Putin or not, it doesn't fucking matter. It's irrelevant. Okay, I think we're done. I got the doomsday clock on here. Is anybody familiar with the doomsday clock? It's nuclear driven too. The doomsday clock is a symbol that represents how close we are to destroying the world with dangerous technologies of our own making. Yeah. It warns how many metaphorical minutes to midnight humanity has left. Set every year by the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, it is intended to warn the public and inspire action. What is the doomsday clock at now? It's at 100 seconds to midnight. Now it's at 2020. That motherfucker seems like it's pretty accurate. What was that, Mayan calendar or something? Fuck that thing.
The Mayan said that it ended in 2012. 2012, that just the world ended. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One thing, no, fuck it. Oh yeah, I do want to talk about that real quick. Okay, John Foster Dulles. I want to talk about this real quick. This is important because I'm not going to say anything about Russia and Ukraine. I'm just going to say this, and this should say it all. We'll say it like that, right? John Foster Dulles was a millionaire corporate lawyer for Brown and Harriman Brothers. His brother, Alan Dulles, was the head of the CIA. He was the founder. Also a rich corporate lawyer. Here is John on record admitting a strategy, right? Admitting a strategy to manipulate the public to go to war, to have, war. quote, in order to bring attention to support the burdens of maintaining great military establishments throughout the world, you know, like 1,000 military bases and $1 trillion military budget, those kind of things, it's necessary to create an emotional state akin to war psychology. There must be the portrayal of external menace.
Ah, yes.
This involves the development to a high degree of a hero nation and the villain nation ideology, and the arousing of the population to a sense of sacrifice. Once these exist, we have gone a long way on the path to war. There you fucking go. That's the strategy. When they're seeking what's that word? Preponderant power. I learned that word when I read that. Yeah, I was like, I never heard that one before. Fucking Dr. Parenti. But yeah, preponderant power, since they're seeking it. Guys, they're not trying to fucking give you democracy. What is democracy? Democracy is
free trips to the salad bar.
No, democracy is holding you're asking questions, exposure, holding your government accountable for things, and engaging with that shit. That's real democracy. Democracy is asking them, why the $20 billion for this? Why the $20 billion for that? Why are you sending our children to this country? Why are you sending our children to that country?
There's no questioning the government anymore. They just do. They don't have
Correct.
to answer questions.
Correct.
Okay? Mm-hmm. That hammer is $816, and we ordered 4,000 of them.
Right.
What the fuck are you doing?
And we
with our
charged
money?
your government fucking yo,
right.
you know they charged our government, I want to say it was like $7,000, but I'll be polite and say $3,000 for pliers.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh, but hey,
And he said our
some of
government
them-
bargained them down, the contractors, to like 1,200 and something for pliers.
But they're specialty pliers. They're specialty pliers.
$800 for toilet seats. I heard something like that.
Yeah, that's right. That wasn't the shock doctrine. Okay, I all these books run together, but I'm glad you read that. Good.
The shot doctor.
Was that, or was it more than $3,000? I want to say it was like $7,000
was
or
crazy.
something. It was some crazy number.
Some phenomenal number.
So guys, this is crazy. We need to start the conversation for the anti-war movement. And if somebody wants to start one, I'll be there. I will fucking be there. All right. We only got 3 Lion tweets today because I knew this was going to be a long show, so I wanted to keep it short and sweet. First tweet today is from Black in the Empire. Note from the non-Western world. Dear United States, stop meddling in our affairs, invading our countries, overthrowing our governments, killing our leaders, stealing our resources, and using the CIA and NGOs to destabilize our countries. We don't love Russia and China. We just hate you.
Man.
Black in the Empire. He spits bars. Anybody want to comment on that? There's really nothing to say.
That's spot on.
That's spot on is right. There's not a lot of leftover fat to trim off that.
Yes.
Very poignant.
And mind
poignant.
you, these people love America. They love America. They love American people. They love our culture. But man, when power gets in the way, there's really nothing you can fucking do. All right, the next fucking
It makes, you know why America's the best place on the planet is because you don't get fucked with in America, I guess, right? By America.
Yeah.
If you leave, you're gonna get fucked with by America, and that's a shit sandwich.
That's what. Who was it? Who was it? There was some comedian that said that. He said they were like, well, why don't you just go? He was like, well, if I go to a capitalist country, I'm gonna get fucked by the same rules, and if I go to a socialist country, then I'm gonna be a victim of foreign policy of my own country's gonna fucking attack me. I don't want to go there. Why would I do that?
That's how in the documentary, Lord Hamilton, his younger brother, and the guy was interviewing, he said something about, well, what about when you, because they were the white Caucasian guys to the Hawaiian Islands back in the early 1960s. And his father, Bobby Hamilton and stuff, was a soul surfer guy that went over to Hawaii. But like his brother said something about, oh yeah, no one messed with me because I was Laird Hamilton's younger brother. He goes, I started to take a beat down from him occasionally, but I'd rather have it from him than the Hawaiian than the Howleys or whatever he was called. Or, hey, he just basically said, sometimes having that big mighty person around you, it makes you feel safe, but sometimes you still got to take one in the mouth from them too. But you know, It's a privilege beating because you
Yeah.
you associate yourself with him and no one messes with you because of that as well.
Right.
So it was a pretty
But
neat
that's the thing. But I want to say this while we're talking about any privilege.
Billy.
We don't profit off war. We pay all the cost for war and we get none of the profits. And it's an enormous cost and enormous profits. We get the enormous cost. They keep the enormous profits. That's why our Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, was the board for Raytheon. He's the former board on the board of directors for fucking Raytheon, the weapons company.
And the solution is don't give us profits from the war. No, that's not what we want. We want no war.
Right. Thank you.
It's like,
thank you.
oh,
That's important too.
listen, share some of these profits from war, and I'll be okay with it.
That's important. That's important too.
That's
Yes,
nice.
I don't want that
Mike,
either.
Mike, that's a good statement to say.
That's a great statement. Yeah, that's a great follow up too.
No.
The U.S. Well, this is from Danny Haifong. The U.S. won't win a technological war, Cold War with China. The U.S. won't win an energy war, Cold War with Russia. The era of U.S. global domination is coming to an end, and its posture towards Russia and China is a sign of desperation, not strength. Thoughts? Take all day. This is the last one, so we're good. Leave them in suspicion.
Leave
Well, I think that, Russia and China have had time to secretly strengthen themselves in ways to where they were self-sufficient and or other countries are codependent on them now and no longer with the U.S.
That's a great point. They say that there's propaganda here in the States saying that they're winning, right? They're beating Russia. Russia's terrible. They're fucking up. And nobody in the world is standing with Russia is what they're saying. It's overwhelmingly leaning toward the West. They don't support Russia and China in the Cold War, okay? There's a Wall Street Journal, I believe it is, article that said 87% of the world agrees with fucking Russia and, on the Cold War, on the new Cold War. You could go look it up because it's there. It is Wall Street Journal. And it said that if you think about it, it didn't say this, but I thought about this actually. If you think about it, it makes sense. If you just take BRICS, 8.5 billion people in the world, you got Russia, India, China. That's like fucking a lot of that's at least 2 or 3 billion. No, that's more than that because India is
more than that.
India is more than that,
More than
right?
that. It's
So
more
that's
than that.
half the population right there, dude. You got the whole BRICS:
First of all-
Brazil,
first of
Russia,
all, you
India, China, South Africa.
China is low dead with pop. I mean, their population is ridiculous.
They have the
Yeah.
numbers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, we're out of line, dude. I'm sorry, I had to cover that. I didn't want to, but it's one of those things that you just go, you know what, man, it has to be done.
It's a shit sandwich, and you have to kind of take a bite.
Yeah, nobody wants to
nobody
fucking do
wants to, but yeah, you're going to get a mouthful, and you're going to start chewing it up and realizing, oh, God, this is getting worse and worse as getting into
But just like I'm going to say right now, it's Friday, and I suggest everybody celebrate every day because and love harder because, tell your family you really care about them, man. Live every day like it's your last. And that's a regular saying, but is there not a bigger reason why now?
And give a listen, and don't let the sting of being duped make you turn your back on what's right, because we've all been duped.
Sure.
We've all felt.
Yes, that's a
Go
good
for it.
point. Don't get broken.
Don't let your pride, stop you from learning.
Yeah, and don't get too low that you don't have any pride.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a balance. It's a discipline. Don't get too ahead of yourself. Guys, I think this one went through pretty good, man. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, man.
Let's
Thanks for
go
having me.
drink. Let's
For
go drink
every
one.
action, there's a reaction. And
An equal and opposite one.
And
at
all I
that.
ever want to do, and the reason why I'm here is because, like you said, I believe in this too, Corey, and I want to be a part of that, brother.
Love you, brother.
Love you too,
Let's
man.
go.
Absolutely.
Yo, signing off. Till next time.